Hello to all of you out there who have been following this 40-day practice of reclaiming joy with me and Majella. This is our final share out to you about our experience. Now, Majella's having internet problems right now, so hopefully her internet will behave and she'll jump on fairly shortly. Let me see. I think she's saying that she can call in and talk to me, which would be great. Let me see. I'm going to see if I can call her and at least we can have her voice in on this. See if this can work. Hello. Great. I just started, as you know, and I was just saying that you were going to call in and we can see if this can work. So yeah, whatever it takes.
This is so literally, I'm sat next to my router with it's hardwired into my laptop and the lights are just flashing red, no status. And I'm like going, okay, this is interesting. There's another way of working this. So here we are. This is it's interesting because the last session obviously I missed because I wasn't well, and now it's like, oh, let's disrupt. Is Mercury retrograde?
Well, it's interesting. No, we're not in Mercury retrograde time, but we're definitely in a time where the energy for April astrologically is about forward movement because of the way the planets are lined up, and also about the energy of Aries. So I think that what's going on, and it's interesting because as I thought about, what did I learn from this experience? What am I taking away from this experience? And so to me, it's that you're going to get challenged to be in your joy. And you get to choose, where you can say, yeah, I'm being, fall into what we call the victim consciousness, right? Somebody's doing something to me, something's doing something to me, and just stay miserable. Or you can say, oh, here's another opportunity to experience transcendence. Yay! And clearly that's what we're doing. We're doing transcendence. So my dear, wow, what a time we are in. I truly feel transformed. I really feel more grounded in my new lifetime. How about you?
Yeah, I really have loved doing this, as in just being able to take another level, take another step back from being caught up in everyday activities, instead just observing what happens and allowing things to emerge.
Yes.
And that whole surrendering process, which I think has been super interesting. Yeah, I'm feeling quite joyful presently, that's for sure.
Well, I am too. Something else that I've learned, and it's been kind of like a relearning, like really reinforcement, let me say that, is that there is so much power in consistency to bring about a shift. And of course, that's what we mean when we say a practice, a discipline. It is that ability to be able and willing to, do that thing that you said you were going to do, despite whatever else may be trying to block it or whatever other excuses you may come up with it. And so this ability to have a daily focus on my joy, accessing my joy, supporting my joy. What are the things I have to do so that I don't leave my joy space, right? How do I grow it? And, from that level of self-awareness, conscious awareness, I can truly say today I am much more joyful than I was, 40, by now I think it's about 50 days previously. Yeah. So
Mm,
so what has been
yeah.
some things that have shown up for you that or what is it that you're taking away from this experience? Say that too.
I suppose it's really for me the capacity to take a step back and allow things to emerge,
Yes.
not into control or have a fixed notion of how things should be. Instead, just being able to go, okay, this is how it is. So, okay, I think I might be getting into the studio I'm on a hotspot on my phone, so it might work.
Okay.
So yeah, I think it's that kind of process of being able to be in the moment and at the same time noticing the difficult or tricky things that come up, but also to immerse in the unknown, dive into the unknown. Because obviously from moment to moment, everything's unknown anyway, right? We don't really know anything. What do we know? We know nothing.
Exactly.
And the more we know, the less we know. So it's been a really interesting time, and I've had some really interesting time in terms of having difficult conversations and addressing things that when I was younger, I certainly would have attempted to. I would have just internalized the resentment and anger and turned it in and just been like quite dismissive or nasty about whatever was going on. Whereas I think the practice of kind of self-compassion leads to a more compassionate way of being with others, which lends itself to joy, to celebrate our quirkiness, if you like, our differences and the things that make us all individuals.
Yes. Yeah, that is so cool. It's very much in alignment with me realizing that my joy is unique to me, that it really cannot be dictated by somebody else. And so giving myself permission to do the things that bring me joy and say no to things that don't. And that it did include work-wise, like certain meetings where I was able to say, I really don't need to participate in that. It's not going to bring me joy. And then the meetings that do bring me joy, I'll go out of my way to participate in. Or even saying yes to a particular situation to where I'm asked to share my gifts and talents. If it's not going to bring me joy, why would I want to do that? Like, yeah, because at this point, trying to follow the money rather than my heart isn't going to bring me joy. I have to follow my heart.
No.
Yeah.
100%. And then the money's fine too. Because it's just, isn't it? It's like if the money is somehow going to enhance your joy, it will show up.
Exactly. It's like the money is supposed to serve you, not you serving it.
Yeah, and clarity, getting the clarity around what does this look like, and where you've got commitments, and maybe there's tricky bits around it, and it feels to be draining. The opposite, the opposite of joyful. It feels like really draining and exhausting. And actually, what I found is having those difficult conversations with people puts the joy back in.
Yes. It's like how we can re-access our joy once something has happened, and it's like, what's going on here, and how how important that is to do. I just think it's just so important to do that. But we usually don't think of that, Majella. We usually don't think of, if I take this risk if I risk this relationship, if I risk this job opportunity by speaking my truth, by sharing what works for me or what doesn't work for me, we don't usually associate that with the joy, but it really is like you're
Yes.
saying. Yeah.
Mm. And that's the thing, isn't it? It's like it's the antithesis of how we're programmed.
Yes.
We're programmed to put up and shut up, be subservient, do what's expected of us. And even when what's expected of us isn't really clear, we'll fumble around trying to do what we think people want us to do without clarifying.
Exactly. We've got a watcher and our listener, Laurie, my friend Laurie, saying, "Watching you gals brings me joy."
Yay! Hi, Laurie.
Hey, Laurie. Oh my God, she is so joyous. Laurie, we need to talk because, girl, the Oscars are coming up. We got to figure out a way to Zoom or something to connect on the Oscars some way, somehow. She's my Oscar watching friend, definitely. But as you're saying, again, this process opening us up to a greater awareness of how to have our joy, how to reaccess our joy, how to reclaim our joy. And for me, I've been doing some very personal work in regards to relationships with men. And this reclaiming my joy guide this process that I'm in, and actually kind of give it a framework. Give it a framework. It's been phenomenal because in regarding my background and everything, and my core wound around relationships is my mother and father's story of unrequited love. So it's been like, relationship, the next word I think of is heartbreak. So to be able to frame, strengthening my capacity, growing my ability to be in a healthy, loving, committed relationship about joy, that was like new for me. Like, really, I can do that? And it's been so wonderful. One of the great benefits is it's had me realize I have to take responsibility for my joy. It can't be about the relationship is going to do the joy, the partner's going to do the joy. No, it's about me and my joy and being able, like you were talking about, to share what works for me, what doesn't work for me, so that I can stay in my joy, so I can grow my joy, And that's participating in relationship rather than it being, where you're at a stadium watching it from the sidelines or thinking that, it's a one person show. Yeah. So that's a blessing for me. That it's been a big blessing. And I'm still unpacking the gifts coming out of that framing of relationship growing and building to be the focus about joy. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's interesting, isn't it? Because that kind of being in relationship with ourselves is our primary relationship.
Exactly.
If we're unable to tolerate all aspects of ourselves, even the shitty parts, then we cannot tolerate that in others. So being able to immerse ourselves in our own shittiness, or our own
exactly,
or our own nasty, vindictive thoughts and stuff like that, alongside of the absolute, I want to do nice things for people. I want to be, I want to be kind to others. I want to, all those things. If we're not able to do and recognize those things for ourselves, recognize when we are the full spectrum of our emotions and behaviors, and the full capacity to either be in relationship with others too, just to connect with others on more, honoring way. So where we're dishonest with others because we think we're trying to second guess what they want. Okay, I want to get married and have children. Therefore, if I'm going to get married, have children, I need to be like this, X, Y, and Z,
Exactly.
whether you're a man or a woman. Like
Right.
if you're in a heterosexual relationship,
Right.
or if you're, you know, LGBTQI, whatever the relationship is, if you don't, if you have an idea of what you think you should do in order to get things, I would say take a step right back and stop it.
Yeah.
And just be who you are and love who you are, and the right things will show up. And even when the things that show up don't feel great, they're there for a lesson.
Right.
There's a lesson there to be had.
Right. Yeah, because you know, I think what I'm hearing from both of our experiences, Majella, is that to reclaim your joy, you have to grow. You know, I believe we've been going through a growth process. We've been stretched. And that's, again, something that normally we don't associate, right, with having a joy. We usually are thinking about it. Yay, here she is. Woohoo! Woohoo!
Yeah.
Yay.
I did it.
She appears. Love it.
Ta-da! It might have helped if I plugged the right thing back in when I unplugged it earlier. Yeah, so yeah, back to the joy in relationship, and it's so nice to hear it, and I can feel it energetically from you as well, speaking to you and listening to you.
Yeah. It's like a reclaiming of power.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm hearing feedback. Are you still on your phone?
No, it might be.
Or is your computer
on?
on?
Turn this down a bit. It might be because my volume is too loud. Oh,
there, that's better. That's better. There's no playback now. So, you know, it's, and I just lost my train of thought. What did you ask me?
Is that working?
That's better. Yeah.
Excellent.
But what did you just ask me? I lost my train of thought. Start reading your teeth.
Hearing and feeling our joy more, living it.
Yes. You know, it's been so, you know, just, I'll say it, it's been life-changing. It's been life-changing for me. I really do believe I've stepped into a new lifetime. And it is this ability now to actually give myself permission to be in my joy, that I don't need to sacrifice that in order to do my work in helping other people, or to, like you said, try to figure out how to make something work. Or, you know, to get people to feel that I get you, I'm holding space for you, that kind of thing, you know. It's like I can do all of that, and then I can just stay in my joy, because the what's happening isn't happening to me. It's not my story. It's their story. And it's okay that they're going through it and they don't feel good. And I don't need to take on, let me try to make you feel better, because no, you got to go through this so you can get to where I'm at, where you realize I need to choose to be in my joy. So there may be some people, some relationships, some situations, some ideas that I got to release, that I have to let go of. And I think that's been the other important part of this journey for me, Majella, is consciously releasing. What about for you?
Yeah, as you were talking, I was just thinking, it's like, it's not my circus, not my performers. Like I'm not engaging with this, but also not trying to stop someone from learning and having their own experience. And I think that patience is a virtue, as my mother used to say. It's and that kind of, why are we always in a hurry to get something or be something or da 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 da? And it's like, it's not, you know, who was I having this conversation? It might have been actually listening to Brené Brown at some point, saying about how in conversation with someone who'd written a book about this, but if you were being the best in the world at something, there's only space for one person to be best in the world, right? What about everyone else who does that thing? Like, does that mean they're invalid? And it's kind of when you've become best in the world at something, then where does that leave you? Where do you go from there?
Right.
Whereas if we're in a constant state of learning and curiosity and acknowledging all our capacity to be, and I really mean that, because I just think it's not splitting, it's accepting that we have that full range, that we can, think shitty thoughts about people and also think great loving thoughts about people too, and about circumstances.
Right.
And all those kind of things, rather than this denial, this toxic positivity. Let's pretend that's not happening and go, woohoo,
Right.
cheerlead. No,
Right.
no, let's not, shall we? Shall we just acknowledge that we're all human and we all have human experiences, and some of that's not so good and some of it's great, but it's all part of the human experience. And I'm just excited to see what happens over the next few months now as well, and how that pans out, because I feel like I'm literally, after starting a journey around relationships myself and trying to change the way I have relationships. I started this maybe 2018, and maybe even earlier than that. And it's just been like, none of it's working. And just and of course the pandemic and etc getting in the way. And I spent a lot of time in the States and in Australia and New Zealand in that time as well, so that all impacted on things. But it's just really interesting to go, okay, yeah, so you set the intention, it might take a lot longer than you thought to start emerging in reality, and that's
right. Right, exactly. And I love that, because I was thinking the same thing. It's almost like the 40-day practice, which I'm continuing, but it has positioned me for manifesting and experiencing the results of that practice. So things that I'm visioning, things that I'm stretching myself for, are more able to come into my being, because I'm participating in the process. That's the other thing. Again, when we're being a victim to life, a victim to circumstance, a victim to relationships, we're really not participating. It's like we put ourselves in a box on a sideline, and we just like, I've got to take whatever's thrown at me. So when we can actually open up ourselves to consciously practice choosing joy, learning what that experience is like for you, because everybody's unique. Like I said, my joy is not going to be the same joy as you or anybody else. So to be able to do that for ourselves, to nurture ourselves in that way, I think that's when we get to participate in life, and that's when the miracles really can show up. And, Majella, one thing I'm really, really grateful for, that I didn't think about this enough when we stepped into this and agreed to do this. But one thing I'm really grateful for is that we're putting this out for people during the time of COVID. And the time of COVID it's hard. It is really deep. And I hope that people who are listening and will get access to this really are hearing what we're sharing, as you don't have to let the time of COVID ruin your life or take over your life, that you can really allow yourself to vision and to get a framework of joy and start to practice that despite whatever is going on. And it's not easy. In no way is this an easy journey, but it can be done. It can be done.
And also, I think it's really important to acknowledge the systemic crap in the world, and that actually, it's not sort of, the experience of joy can be impeded by exposure and environmental factors and things that are way beyond our control, and how we are perceived or treated in the world by others. And I'm kind of aware of acknowledging that too, because otherwise I think the risk is then it becomes pathologizing.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Like, or like that stuff doesn't matter. And that's definitely not what we're saying. That stuff does matter. And because it matters, because it's so wounding. Like, I have a friend who is a teacher in a middle school. She happens to be white, and the majority of her students are Latina. And they're very affected by all these shootings that are going on of men of color. And she was saying to them, we need to pray. And one of the kids said back to her, "Oh, this is normal. This is normal." And so that depth of, pain that is in existence in the world, it will take us out. It will eat us up. And so we do have to find a way to access our joy while at the same time we are grieving, we are, being angry, wanting to pop, wanting to, just strangle somebody. Like, why is this still happening? Because of all of that, we have to find our joy. And I don't care if it's just for 5 minutes. You got to be able to access the joy, because otherwise the pain and the situation will take you out. It will take you out. Yeah.
And it's interesting, because I was just thinking, obviously there's a lot of violence in the north of Ireland at the moment.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
That was so predictable because of Brexit. I mean, it's just been, it was so predictable. And it took me back to being in Derry in the north when I was 11, and having gone to a shop to go and buy something like that. My mum's friends just gave us some money, here, go get something. And I went with the other children who lived there, and we went into a toy shop, and I bought a kite, and I bought something else, and I was really excited. And I walked out of the shop, and as I walked out, I was just so busy being excited. I walked into a shop like a soldier in front of me with a gun across his chest, and I just went, and the children I was with just was like, so it's that exposure, proximity, that, like, to them that was nothing. And this is the risk, is where we live in a world where acts of violence are minimized or normalized, and it's really not okay. Same with so this sweatshirt I'm wearing is in support of the Delhi farmers who are being exploited at the moment. So all the funds from this. So if anyone wants to get one, it's punjabisfinest.com. Order them online. All the profits go to supporting the farmers.
Beautiful.
Just trying to look at how acknowledging that you can have joy, and the joyfulness might be in the connection, in the rising up against these.
Yes, exactly.
Finding our connections with people, with allies, with supporters globally, joining up in a state of love towards change.
Exactly.
Conscientious objectors, that kind of like, okay, no, this can't go on.
Yeah. Well, I even interpret, the choosing of joy, the practice to get access to your joy, is a way to fight. And it is a nonviolent way to fight, because if we succumb to these situations that seem so hopeless, I'm old enough to know that, things have been much worse than this. And I do believe that we're here to evolve and grow, and that things are going to shift. They are shifting. I believe that things are shifting. And so if you lose hope, you lose your faith, it is done. So again, being able to take time and really allow yourself moments of joy, or connecting with those things that bring you joy, so that you can really be a contributor to the change, to the shift. And as you said so eloquently, Majella, from a loving posture, from a posture of love, because against fear, it's just not going to work. Not going to work.
So can I suggest something?
Please.
But we connect maybe in every 3 weeks.
How about once a month?
Yeah, that sounds good. Let's do once a month. And just touch base. And then when it's the next year's 40 days, we do it weekly again.
Yeah.
And we continue along it and invite people to participate in the online conversation more.
Definitely.
On camera, or find a way to continue to.
And maybe, depending on our schedules, how things go, we could even create a webinar and have people come and actually learn some more and just connect with other people who want to go through this kind of a practice around reclaiming joy. So there's all kinds of good possibilities. Yeah.
We could do a conversation on what's that app called? What's it called? It's you need an iPhone. Clubhouse. We could do some conversations on Clubhouse. So many great options. To say thank you so much to you, because together we've held space for each other for years. Now it's like 5:30 alarm. And to that connection is really important, that anchoring point in the world.
Yes. Definitely. Oh my God, I can't tell you how important it is to know that you don't have to go through things alone, that you can have support, and support across the pond even. It's really, really so wonderful. I mean, I'm humbled, I'm honored. It's what makes this so sacred and so important. So I want to thank you, especially because it's been night for you, and I know what I'm like at the end of the day, and I just so appreciate your willingness to eke out some more energy and to be here to go through this process and to share so openly and so honestly and so authentically. And you're my fire sister. I love you. Yeah. You rock. Yeah.
I get my hair done tomorrow, though, people. The hairdressers is opened up.
I can't wait. I can't wait to see.
I can't wait. Thank you, Laurie. And I will see you very soon.
Definitely.
Big hugs. Mwah.
Yes. Everyone, be well, be safe. And focus on your joy and share your joy with others. Really, really important.
I surrender.
Yes. Bye-bye, everyone. Bye, Laurie.